Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hello friends, this is Vijay. Welcome to ForumIAS Hindu Daily. In our today's news discussion, we are going to see the list of topics in the display. The first topic, chart sheet scrutiny is not a case of prying eyes. Okay, its significance is in preliminary GS1 and mains GS2. Now without any delay, let us dive into the topic number 1. This is the article, it came in the editorial page. R.K. Raghavan is the former director of CBI. He is the author of this article. In the intro part, he have been discussing about the commendable initiatives of the Apex Court, which guarantees the transparency in the judicial process. Okay, so recently the Apex Court ruled for live telecast of the court proceedings. So he is also mentioning that then CJI stated that the necessary for releasing the judgments in the 3 regional languages and Hindi, because previously the Supreme Court judgments were in English only, but these days he stated that the CJI stated that the 90% of the Indian citizens were unable to decode the information in the judgment which is releasing in the English language. So that's what he pressed the necessary for releasing the judgments in the 4 other languages, which includes Hindi, Gujarati, Odia and Tamil. Okay, so this is what it have been discussed here, okay, in the intro part. And in the second title, in the second subheading, contradicting an earlier order, okay, he have been discussing about some contradictions which involves here. In the year of 2016, the Youth Bar Association of India versus Union of India case, the court ruled that there is a necessity of uploading the FIR in the concerned investigation agency's website within 24 hours of its registration. Okay, so here you should know the difference between the FIR and the charge sheet, because the article is about the charge sheet. So you should know the difference of FIR and the charge sheet. Now let us discuss it. This is the distinguish between the FIR and the charge sheet. Okay, FIR is a preliminary report. It will be filed generally in the police stations, because they are a ground level investigation agency where the FIR will be submitted, and it will be containing the oral iterations of the victim. Okay, it will be the information and all will be gathered by the police personnel and it will be filed into the document. So there actually he will be providing the evidences and the statements from his own side. Okay, so this is what it will be happening in the FIR, and this is the preliminary investigations aiding tool. Okay, FIR is the preliminary investigations aiding tool, and in certain petty offenses the FIR can be withdrawn from the police stations by the concerned victim. Okay, if he is thinking that there won't be any requirement of proceedings, he can withdraw the FIR from the concerned police station. Now let us come to the charge sheet. Charge sheet is a final report. Okay, it will be prepared by the investigation officer who is in charge of the concerned criminal or civil cases, and the investigation officer, after doing the preliminary investigations, he will be reporting to the court. Okay, then in the court he will be submitting his own documents, what he actually collected in that investigation process in the form of charge sheet. Based on the charge sheet only, the trial will be carried out. Okay, so if we are making a stringent documents and evidences in that charge sheet, means then the trial can be in a scrutinized way. Okay, and the charge sheet, it cannot be withdrawn from the court. Once if it is filed by the investigation officer, means it can't be withdrawn anymore. Okay, the proceedings will be carried on, then the conviction and all will be happen, then the punishments will be given to the concerned accused. Okay, If the case is proved means, then the punishment will be given to the concerned accused. So this is what the difference between the FIR and a charge sheet. Okay. Here in this subtitle, the author have been discussing about the FIR. Okay. In the case of Youth Bar Association of India versus the Union of India, the FIR in any case should be on the relevant investigation agency's website within 24 hours of its registration. So this is the main theme of the judgment. Okay. So the author have been asking the court, earlier the Supreme Court, it pronounced for the updation of the FIR in the investigation agency. Now why they are reluctant towards uploading the charge sheet in the website? Okay, this is what the author have been discussing here. And the times have changed. Okay, under the subtitle, the author have been discussing that previously, if certain citizens or a citizen X, if he is commenting on the court proceedings means, he will be attracting the wrath of the court in the form of the contempt. Okay. Now time is changed. Why the court is reluctant towards uploading the charge sheet in the website? The court stating that the charge sheet is not a public document and it will be having some vital information related to the victim and the concerned accused. So in the preliminary stage of the investigation, if we are opening the charge sheet to the public means, then it will affect the court proceedings and the fair trial. So this is the statement from the court. But the author have been stating that this is the time, okay, where the public should have the access to the charge sheet. Because if the public is having the access to the charge sheet means, then they will provide their own inputs, and those inputs will be valuable in the investigation process and the trial. So this is the statement from the author. This is what it have been discussed in the times have changed passage. Okay. In the conclusion part titled A Last Chance, the author have been quoting that the Supreme Court already had given a wake-up call for the investigation agencies, including the CBI. Okay. They are often assailed by the courts for delaying the filing of a charge sheet or for the poor quality of investigation. Okay. So this is what he have been mentioning in the conclusion part. And the court scrutiny is a well-tailored mechanism, because in police stations, if the accused or perpetrator is having the political clout or economic clout means, then there will be lot of influences into the police station investigations. Okay. So therefore, he have been mentioning that the court scrutiny is a well-tailored mechanism and it won't allow any influences into the floor of the court. Therefore, he have been mentioning that the detailed public study of the charge sheet will reduce the loopholes in the framing of the charge sheet itself, and it will empower the court to not punish the innocent and to give the right punishment to the perpetrators. So this is what the author have been concluding in the conclusion part. Now let us discuss the second article, India to showcase success in rural and archaeological tourism at G20 meeting. Okay. In the next few days, the G20 meeting is going to happen in Pragati Maidan. Okay. From February 7 to 9, where India will highlight the most successful and innovative initiatives of these from various parts of India. The flagship villages for G20 meetings are Latpura Khas village from Madhya Pradesh and Konoma village from Nagaland and Dholavira from Gujarat. You might have known about the Dholavira. It is one of the Indus Valley civilization city. Let us discuss about it later in this article. And about Latpura Khas, last year it was nominated for the UN World Tourism Organization Award by the Government of India. Okay. In Latpura Khas, there are a lot of places and temples belongs to the 16th and 17th centuries are there. So it will provide some aesthetic value to the tourism. Okay. So this is the key information of the Latpura Khas. And Konoma village. Konoma village is very popular for a Tragopan sanctuary. Angami Nagas are the major people living in the Konoma village. Angami Nagas, you might have known, they are good bird hunters. But in the year of 1998, due to the initiatives of the Government of India and the Nagaland government, Tragopan sanctuary, it came into enforcement, and the Angami Nagas also left their hunting jobs and they came into the traditional economic setup. So Konama village, it is India's first green village. Okay, so this is the key information about the Konama village. And let us come to the Dholavira. Dholavira, it is the 40th World Heritage Site in India and 5th largest Indus metropolitan city. And Dholavira, you might have known, it is having the water conservation systems. Okay, the drainages and all, it's well planned and constructed in the city of Dholavira. It is a trifurcated city. It is the one and only trifurcated city in the Indus Valley civilization. Most of the Indus Valley civilization cities, it will be having bifurcations, but in Dholavira alone, it is a trifurcated city, which means the city is divided into 3 zones. Okay, then the elaborated burial structures are there. The river Luni, it have been flowing through the Dholavira. Okay, so these are the key informations about the ancient town Dholavira. And the Kongtong village, it is a value addition, and India is not going to showcase Kongtong village in G20, but I just picked it for a value addition purpose. Kongtong village, it is located in the Meghalaya. Okay, so it is a whistling village of India. Why actually the term whistling village is used for Kongtong? In the village, generally the children and all will be called by their mom by whistling. Okay, each and every children, they will be having 2 names. One is a whistling name and another one is a traditional conventional name. In the whistling also, there will be 2 variants of whistling. One is long whistling and one is short whistling. So 2 names will be there. Okay, usually the parents will be calling their children by using the whistle sound. Okay, so that's what the Kongtong got the whistling village of India. And what India will present? Okay, India in the G20 meeting, they are going to present the innovative model what India had tailored so far with respect to the rural tourism and archaeological tourism. Okay, so this is what India is going to showcase in the G20 meeting, where the government have been taking various initiatives related to streamlining the rural homestays and community spaces management and all. Okay, so generally there will be a community participation with respect to the rural homestays and community spaces, etc. So that and all the government is going to showcase in the G20 meeting. And this picture is the village which is located in the Arunachal Pradesh. The potential of rural tourism in India had been given. What are the potential we are having with respect to the India? In India, I already told you, almost we are having 6.7 lakh villages. Okay, and India still it's a rural country, because in urban landscape only 36% of the people have been living according to the 2011 census. So 64% of the people still residing in the rural belt of the India. Okay, so therefore we are having enormous potential, and numerous local traditions like plays, art forms, dances, etc. have been practicing in the rural belt. Example, Dandiya dance. Okay, it is from Gujarat, so it is the best and classic example for the rural dances or rural folk dances. Okay, then the third one, in the southern India and in the northeast, you might have known we are having extensive tropical rainforest, where sacred groves and all there, and lushy vegetation and all present in the Western Ghats and the northeastern regions. So that will aid in promoting the ecotourism. So this is what it have been discussing here. And due to the expansion of the rural tourism, it will provide jobs. Job multiplier for rural tourism is almost about 5. Okay, the degree 5. So if we are investing an amount for generating one job in another some other sector, means in rural tourism sector we can create almost some 5.8 jobs. Okay, so it is a greatest job multiplier, and that's what it had given here. It could provide jobs to many young men and women who otherwise are increasingly migrating to the cities. Additionally, urban landscape in India, it already feeling the pressure from migrations. Okay, so if we are streamlining the rural tourism, means then the migration and all will be stopped. There won't be any pressure on the urban landscape of the country. Then rural tourism, it will also aid in reviving the arts and crafts of the people who are living in the rural belt, because there will be a revenue generation. So the art craft and all will be promoted for monetary purposes by the local people, right? So that is also one of the potential. Generally the people are having prejudices towards the rural landscape, right? So this rural tourism, it will be an eye opener for those people, and it will also encourage the people to visit the rural landscape in a extensive way. So these are the potential we are having with respect to India in the domain of rural tourism. And what are the measures we can take to promote the rural tourism? This is what it have been given. And the infrastructure and the connectivity of the rural India should improve, because especially in the Gangetic Belt regions, we don't have elaborate roadways for accessing the rural area. Okay, so therefore we need to improve the road connectivity. Then in the second point, they have given that each and every village in India will be having certain potential. That potential we need to find out, then only we can promote the, or we can drive the particular tourist to that destination. Okay, then the homestays, then the farm services and all need to be streamlined, and it should be having some human touch to the tourist. Therefore we also need to equip the people to behave in such a way and not to harm the tourists who are visiting their spots. Okay, then the fourth one, destination should be specific and approximate to the conventional tourist spots. Okay, so this is one of the major step we should take forward. And the accessibility, I already told you, the sanitation measures and the accessibility to the regions and all need to be improved. Then the homestays need to follow the traditional style of construction and lifestyle. That traditional and cultural part alone will be providing aesthetic value to the rural tourism. Therefore, after earning certain incentives from the tourism, the rural people, they should not change their lifestyle. Okay, if they are changing their lifestyle means then the aesthetic value will be lost. So the government should take care of these aspects with respect to the rural tourism. Now let us discuss the next article, or before getting into the next article, let us discuss the countries in the G20. Okay, these are the G20 members, and the head of the states from these countries will be arriving in Delhi for the G20 meeting, which is going to happen between February 7 to 9. And if you are struggling to memorize the countries in G20 means, you can memorize through the maps or mind maps. Okay, here in the Northern America, Canada, United States, Mexico are a part of G20, and in the South America, Brazil and Argentina, 2 countries are there. Okay, so almost 5 countries are from the American continent. Then in the Europe, United Kingdom, France, Italy, Germany. These are the top 4 countries in the Europe region. So they are also a part of G20. Apart from that, EU is also a member. Okay, here it is given. EU is also a member of G20. Then Turkey is there. Okay. Then from the Gulf Peninsula, Saudi Arabia is a member of G20. Then from African landscape, South Africa. Obviously India, Russia, China, and Indonesia, Australia. Okay, so these are the few elect from Asian landscape, apart from Japan and South Korea. From the BRICS, almost all the countries are in G20 meeting. Okay, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So all the 5 countries of BRICS are a part of G20. Before getting into the next article, here is a mains question for you. Rural tourism have the potential to fill the coffers of rural landscape, but at the same time, it poses several challenges which need to take care of. Comment. Okay, the answer for this question, it is also available in ForumIAS blog, but with our today's discussion also, you can do a skeleton for this answer. Okay, the answer for this question will be discussed tomorrow. And here is a prelims question for you. Whistling village of India is located in which of the following states? Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Meghalaya, and Manipur. Okay, these are the 4 options they had given. and all the 4 states are from northeast region, and the answer will be discussed tomorrow's analysis. Now let us dive into the next article, and here is the third article of the day, going green. Okay, before getting into the article, let us see the few basics of the Panchamrit strategy. Okay, Panchamrit strategy, it is a conditional INDC. Okay, it was submitted in the COP26, which happened in Glasgow last year. So these are the 5 tenets of the Panchamrit strategy. India's non-fossil energy capacity will reach 500 gigawatt by 2030. Okay, 2030 is the key term here, and 500 gigawatt. So non-fossil energy capacity we are going to ramp up to 500 gigawatt by 2030. Then the second tenet, the country will meet 50% of its electricity requirements with renewable energy by 2030. Today, almost 65% of the energy sources are from the fossil sources. So by 2030, the renewables in the energy basket will be 50%. So this is the second tenet of the Panchamrit strategy. It will reduce its total projected carbon emission by 1 billion tons by 2030. Okay, so we are doing RED Plus. Okay, so under the RED Plus initiative, we are extensively doing the afforestation measures through which we are going to sequester the 1 billion tons of carbon from the atmosphere by 2030. And India will cut the carbon intensity of its economy to less than 45%. Okay, so the carbon intensity will be reduced to less than 45%. Almost we reduce 32% of the carbon intensity in the economy. Biennial update report of 2016, it clearly mentioned that India had scaled down its carbon intensity to 32%. Okay, then the country will achieve the net zero by 2070. What is the term net zero? Do we going to reduce the carbon emissions to zero? No, definitely not. The net zero means if we are emitting some 1000 million tons of carbon into the atmosphere, means if we sequester the same 100,000 million tons by some sequestration techniques like afforestation or some artificial sequestration techniques, means it will amount to net zero. Okay, so this is the Panchamrit strategy, and it is a conditional INDC. What is meant by the conditional INDC? If the developed countries, if they are providing the funding for adaptation and mitigation measures, means we will be doing all the commitments what we had given under the Panchamrit strategy. This is the statement from India in the COP26. Okay, and here is the going green. The budget was enacted recently. Okay, and in the budget, the government had allocated massive funds for green energy domain. So that's what it had been given here. What are the recent developments we had witnessed in the green energy domain? Regarding the EV batteries, the government had come up with enormous number of initiatives, because in this year, it have been expecting that the population of India is going to overtake the China. Therefore, there will be a demand for the mobility, and we will be requiring massive number of vehicles. But recently, in the recent past, the government have been rolling out the several schemes for e-vehicles, right? And in the market also, lot of brands, they are coming up with their own e-vehicle variants. Therefore, the government is also allocating massive amount in this budget to promote the e-vehicles, and that's what it have been discussing here. Okay, in this passage. And recently in this budget, the government had exempt the capital goods and machineries required to manufacture the lithium ion cells. Here it is a spelling mistake. Okay, so please correct it. The government had exempt the capital goods and machineries required to manufacture the lithium ion cells, because if we are reducing the capital excise duties in the capital goods and machineries, means obviously the price of the e-vehicle will be coming down and it will become more affordable. Instead of purchasing the vehicles which are functioning in the fossil fuels, people will be moving towards the e-vehicle, right? So this is the concept behind this exemption. Then another key proposal in the budget is related to the viability gap funding mechanism to systems with a capacity of 4000 megawatt hour. Okay, you might have known about the peak load demand, right? In India, we are having 65% fossil fuel share in the energy basket. So these days, because of the government initiatives and various schemes, subsidies, the share of the renewable energy is hiking, and it couldn't able to meet the peak load demand because they don't have that much capacity to meet out the peak load demand. For meeting out the peak load demand, still we are depending on the thermal power plants. Therefore, the government had come up with a viability gap funding for battery energy storage systems of 4000 megawatt hour. Okay, in these batteries, the energy from the wind energy plants and the solar panels and all will be stored, and during the peak load demand, the energy from these storage systems will be converted into the AC by the inverters, okay, alternating current, because the energy from the wind and the solar panels will be in the form of DC. So the DC energy will be stored in the battery and it will be converted into the alternating current through the inverters. Then that will be transmitted to the transmission lines to meet out the peak load demand. So this is the concept behind the battery energy storage systems. If their capacity is 4000 megawatt hour means, then they can accrue the funding under the viability gap funding scheme, which proposed under the 2023 budget. Okay. Then with respect to Ladakh, they had allocated some 8,000 crores for industry transmissions. Okay. So because Ladakh is considered as an ideal location for the erection of the photovoltaic arrays, therefore they had provided some allocations. Here they had given some 8,000 crore had been provided towards this project. So these are the few things the government had come up with through this budget. And with respect to the green energy, National Hydrogen Energy Mission, okay, so this is one of the popular scheme. It's already in enforcement. Here they had given that at least 5 million metric tons of GH2 annual production is the target of the scheme, and 60 to 100 gigawatt of electrolyzer capacity is to be erected under the scheme, and 125 gigawatt renewable energy capacity for green hydrogen generation and associated transmission network is need to be erected. Okay, these are the few goals of the National Green Hydrogen Mission, and there are several variants of hydrogens are there. One is a grey hydrogen. In grey hydrogen, they will be using the fossil fuels. Okay, fossil fuels for generating the hydrogen. The fossil fuels will be used for heating the water, and in the heating, the bonds between the hydrogen and oxygen atom will be broken, and therefore the hydrogen will be collected. So this is the theme behind the grey hydrogen. And in the brown hydrogen, they will be using the coal or lignite. Okay, but in the green hydrogen, it's 100% the energy sources are from the renewable basket only. Okay, so the total outlay is 19,744 crore. Okay, in this part they had given some significance of the scheme. It will aid India in reducing the import bills. Okay, so with the ramp up of the hydrogen mission, we are going to cut almost 1 lakh crore in the import bill. So that's what they had given, and 15 million metric tons of CO2 annual emissions will be averted, because with the combustion of the hydrogen, only the steam water will be emitted from the hydrogen engines. Okay, therefore there won't be any CO2 emissions. So through this initiative, we can reduce the 15 million metric tons of CO2 emissions, and it will increase the job creation amounts to 6 lakhs. Okay, so 6 lakh people will be getting the jobs in the National Hydrogen Missions and the related initiatives. So it will attract some 8 lakh crore investment from the private agencies. So these are the few significance of the National Hydrogen Mission. Here is the fourth article of the day. Tihar jail to get AI powered surveillance system. Okay, so in Tihar jail, you might have known it is one of the largest and oldest jail in India, where they are going to install the CCTV cameras, which is powered with the artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is nothing but the machines will be acting like a humans. Okay, they will be having thinking power as like what humans are possessing. It have been achievable because of the coding what we are going to infuse into the systems. So machine language will be used for the artificial intelligence. So that's how the AI powered CCTV cameras and all going to be get installed in the Tihar jail. It is the largest prison complex in South Asia itself. Okay, it will also have a real-time grievance redressal system for inmates. If people in the jail, if they are having any grievances, means they can raise their query through the AI powered redressal system, and it will help detect movement in the dark spots. Certain dark spots and all, it won't visible to the humans, but AI powered systems and all will be nabbing those dark spots. Okay, so by nabbing those dark spots, we can bring down the criminal activities in the jail premise. Now let us see the issues in Tihar. The first one is overcrowding. The Tihar jail is having capacity for 5,200 inmates, but right now almost some 12,762 prisoners are living in the Tihar jail. Then certain criminal activities from the perpetrators, actually they planned these criminal activities from the premise of the Tihar jail. The first one is killing of a Punjabi singer. It was plotted in Tihar jail only. Then in the second one, the Sukesh, you might have known, this is one of the popular case, okay, and it also involved the election commission also in this case. So conman Sukesh, he extorted 200 crore from Tihar only. Then the usage of cell phones by inmates is also one of the cause of concern with respect to the Tihar. Then various smuggled items like ganja, then narcotics, okay, these stuffs are also finding its route into the Tihar jail. So this is also the cause of concern with respect to the Tihar. It is a pilot project, okay. Almost 20 artificial intelligence powered cameras is going to getting installed in the jail premise. Additionally, the officials, they are also going to install some 1,248 additional CCTV cameras, okay. So how does that technology work? It will cover repetitive hand movements. So if someone is repetitively, they are shaking their hands or moving their hand, means it will identify it as a physical assault or the usage of cell phones, okay. Then it will also capture if inmates cross their designated parameter. Each and every inmates, they will be having certain spaces in the jail, right? So if someone is crossing their limit, means it will get identified by these artificial intelligence powered CCTVs. Then AI identifies dark spots. I already explained you, because certain dark spots, it won't visible to humans, but the CCTV which powered with artificial intelligence, easily it will nab those dark spots. Then dark spots are places where inmates use mobile phone and fight, okay. This is a place where the unlawful activities and all will be carried out, okay. So high-tech overhaul, a biometric system will also be put into place to help manage the records. So this is the key information with respect to the management of records. So this is the last article. It came in the headline of Hindu. Banking sector remains stable, resilient, says RBI amid Adani imbroglio. Yesterday, the RBI came up with a report that the vital parameters of the bank systems is stable. So the article is all about it. In the last week, actually, the Hindenburg report, it came against the Adani and their transactions. Therefore, the shares of the Adani have been plummeting in the share market. So without getting into the political aspects of this issue, let us discuss the economic terms, what it have been reflecting in this issue, okay. The shares of the Adani have been slashing, okay. The share prices and all are slashing. So generally, banks will be forwarding their loans against the value of the shares of the company. And certain public sector banks, they had forwarded loans to Adani Enterprises, and the prices have been slashing. So RBI generally, they ask for the report, and in that report, the payment, the interest payment and the principals and all getting paid by the Adani in the right time, like that, the banks have been mentioning. Therefore, we don't have any critical issues with respect to this case, like that. The RBI have been stating. RBI stated that the banks are also in compliance with the large exposure framework guidelines issued by the RBI, okay. Now let us see what is meant by the large exposure framework. And in order to address concentration risk and to align with the internationally accepted practices, RBI has issued a large exposure framework. Generally, certain big giants and all will be taking the loans in multiples of crores, okay, thousands of crores, like that they used to take. Therefore, this large exposure, it came into enforcement. Here they had given the sum of all exposure values of a bank to a counterparty or a group of connected counterparties is defined as a large exposure if it is greater than or equal to 10% of the bank's eligible capital base, okay. So suppose bank X is there and company Y is there. If bank X is forwarding about 10% or equivalent to 10% of its working capital to the concerned enterprises means, then they will be coming under the large exposure framework. Okay. So large exposure to a counterparty and a group of counterparties is kept at 20% and 25% of a capital base. So here the large exposure, they can forward the loan, but the threshold is 20 to 25% of the capital base. Okay. So these are the few basics you should know about the large exposure framework, because it have been reflecting in the news, and it is a economic term. UPSC can ask the question from large exposure framework. Then what is round tripping? Because in the Hindenburg report, they mentioned that the Adani enterprises have been doing the round tripping to inflate the share price. So this is the allegation made by the Hindenburg. So you should know what is meant by the round tripping. Round tripping is nothing but country X and country Y is there, and the entity Z is operating. Okay. The Z entity, it will be transferring the fund from the country X to country Y for certain tax concessions. Okay. Then the transferred amount will be relocated to some other countries. Okay. The multiple stages of transactions and all will be happen, and the same amount it will be finding its way to the country X. Okay. So these all transactions it will be happening to evade the taxes only. Certain countries like Seychelles, Mauritius, Cayman Islands, they don't have any economic resources for their country, right? Therefore, they used to provide tax havens to attract the capital from multiple destinations. So this is what the encouraging factor of the round tripping. And here they had given that round tripping is often done through a series of transactions that don't have any substantial commercial purposes, which makes it fall within the trappings of GAR. Here in the image they had given about the purposes of the round tripping. Here the first one, to flow the money for personal gains by shell transactions. Okay, this is for exempting from the tax. The purpose is for accepting the tax. Then the second one, inflate the revenue to show the growth of the organization. From Mauritius, the country X, the company X can do a transaction in India to inflate the price of certain stocks. Okay, because the artificial demand will be created through this round tripping to inflate the price of the stocks. Then the third one, to show the company as an operating company. Generally it will be a shell company. There won't be any commercial transactions, there won't be any commercial functions, but the transactions and all alone will be carried out in these companies. Okay. Then the fourth one, to convert the black money into a legally earned money. It will happen through the issuance of the participatory notes and the global depository receipts. Let us discuss it in this article later. Then the last one, to manipulate and attract the investors. Okay, by inflating the prices of the stocks, the investors and all will be attracted towards certain stocks. Okay, so for that purpose, the round tripping will be a tool which is used by the shell companies. Then the last one, to show that the organization is doing more business than competitors. To create an image in the market, certain companies will be doing the round tripping. Okay, and to prevent the round tripping, the general anti-avoidance rules is there. Now let us see about it. These are the things already we had discussed. The amount will be returned to India through the global depository receipts and the participatory notes. Global depository receipts means the company X of India will be listed in the USA. Okay, where certain banks and all will be aiding the company to attract the investors. Therefore, the banks and all will be issuing the receipts under the share value of the company X. Then the American investors will pool the money into those receipts, and these receipts will be coming into India in the form of economical transactions. Okay, so generally the round tripping will also use the global depository route to enter into India, and the participatory notes, generally the company will be it will itself issue the participatory notes through the FPI. Okay, foreign portfolio investors and all will be there. They will be issuing the participatory note to the small investors, and they will collect the money, and that money it will get invested into the Indian stock markets. And the participatory notes, it act as a decisive tool to root the black money. Therefore, the SEBI had imposed stringent regulations these days with respect to the participatory notes. Okay. So why round tripping happens? Already we had discussed, it is to evade the tax only. Then what is meant by general anti-avoidance rules? OECD had come up with certain principles which is named as a general anti-avoidance rules. The provisions come under the Income Tax Act 1961. The government had imbibed the principles of general anti-avoidance rules in the year of 2012, but it came into effect in the year of 2017. Because Parthasarathi Shom panel, they had recommended a 3-year delay in the implementation to enable the administrative machinery to enhance the capacity for the implementation of the general anti-avoidance rules. Okay, so that's what there was a 3-year delay. It infused into the the government had come up with the principles in the year of 2012, but it came into enforcement in the year of 2017. That you should know. Now the prelims question for you. Consider the statements related to the general anti-avoidance rules. It prevents a routing the financial resource through the offshore destinations for tax benefits. Okay, this is the statement A. And statement B, principles of GAR enshrined in the Income Tax Act 1961. Which of the above statements are correct? Okay, and the answer will be discussed tomorrow. And if you know the answer means kindly comment in the comment box. Okay friends, thanks for your patience. Let me catch you in tomorrow's news analysis. Bye.